Hello everybody, welcome back to the Keep It Kula podcast. This is episode 40, I believe, which is really cool, but it's only, I think, my fourth episode solo, and aka back podcast just as me. So pretty exciting. Obviously the setup is coming along a little bit. I got some tools and stuff to finally put up my Eli Manning signed picture over there. I have my Lundqvist. I got my helmets here. Definitely, I have some posters on the way. So definitely gonna look a little bit better soon, but also still in the process of doing so. So trying to make it look at least a little bit okay. But yeah, so anyways, some really fun topics I have to talk about today. The first one being who will be the next face of the NBA. So I was watching First Take a few days ago, and obviously Stephen A. Smith is one of the top dogs in the industry, and there was a whole discussion that they were having about who will be the next face, because a lot of fans, a lot of people want it to be Anthony Edwards, aka Ant-Man, Timberwolves superstar, right? He was drafted by them as the first pick overall in the 2020 NBA draft. He has now become one of the most exciting players in the NBA, arguably the most exciting player in my opinion. I love to watch him play. And so he was asked if he wants to be the face of the NBA. And he said, no, he doesn't. He simply doesn't, and he thinks it should be Wemby. The problem, though, at least according to Stephen A. and to some other NBA insiders, is that they don't see the NBA being headlined by a player who's not American, right? We've had guys, Michael Jordan, right? Then it was LeBron James. Now, who is it, right? These guys are American people. It's always been American players. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Allen Iverson, Shaq, Kobe. These have all been American superstars, right? However, the NBA is now being powered by people from overseas, right? We have SGA, we have Wemby, we have Luka, and we have Jokic. And we have Giannis. So these five guys that are arguably the best players in the NBA right now are not from the States, right? We have Serbia, and we have France, and we have Canada. These guys are not American, but it seems like they're the ones leading the NBA. Basketball has always been seen as the American sport. Though they have one team in Canada, it is an American sport, 100%. It's always been led by the Americans, but in the past, 5-10 years, we're seeing guys from overseas becoming the best players in the league, right? Jokic is winning MVP every year. It looks like SGA is probably going to win this year. He should have won last year, I think, but that's a whole other issue, right? Giannis has been one of the best players in the league for a long time now. So, and obviously Luka, right? The biggest trade ever happened not long ago, and everyone was talking because he's one of the best players in the NBA. So obviously Dallas probably screwed up with that, but that's a whole other episode that I'll get to eventually. And then I think about this, of how basketball and hockey can relate to each other here. Because hockey, though a lot of American teams, it is a Canadian sport. It has always been headlined by Canadians, right? We had Wayne Gretzky, then we had Sidney Crosby, and now we have Connor McDavid. Think about the American players, right? There's a lot of great American players, but none of them have ever led the NHL, right? They've never been the face of the NHL. Right, look at this team that we had playing in the Four Nations facing off. None of those guys are the face of the NHL. Even someone like Auston Matthews, who plays in Toronto, who plays in the biggest market in hockey, he's not even the face of the NHL. He's American, right? It's always going to be Canadian players. So now going back onto the NBA, can it be a player who's not American? Some say it can, some say it can't. I personally believe it can. I don't think it has to be American. Obviously, it brings in a different culture when you keep it American. But if you have someone who, like Luka, is the face of the NBA, that brings a whole new audience, right? It brings in the whole European audience. It brings in the audience from overseas. I think you can have someone who's not American be the face of the NBA. However, I do really want it to be Ant. I know he doesn't want it himself. He probably would be the best face of the NBA, in my opinion. He kind of has all the techniques and the aura that it takes to be the face of the league, but I don't think it's for him, as he says now. He's still very young. You never know. He might want it in the next 5-10 years if he continues to be this great player. All right, moving on, we have some NFL talk. So today on Good Morning Football, there was a lot of discussion about banning of the tush push. Obviously, the tush push is used by the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the reason why they've won so many games, why Jalen Hurts has so many touchdowns, and possibly the reason why they won the Super Bowl this year. A lot of head coaches are not happy about it. Obviously, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni is fine with it because it's winning him games, but many other coaches wanted bans. Some are saying that it's the cause of injury. However, there aren't any stats that are actually showing injuries made during that play. So it's hard to fight with that. And then the other question about that is it bad because it's dangerous, or is it bad because you think it's unfair, right? The Eagles are the only team that can perfect this. So maybe it's time for other teams to learn how to do the tush push correctly, right? Or your defense needs to learn how to defend it, right? You look back on, let's say, the Patriots of the past few decades. You can say it's not fair they had Tom Brady, right? But what are you going to do about it? You're not going to ban Tom Brady from the NFL. It's the same thing that the Eagles have, right? I'm a Giants fan, as you can see. Obviously, I don't like the Eagles, but I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong. The tush push is so fine and it's legal, right? There was a time, though, where you weren't allowed to push players of your own team. You couldn't push your teammates. However, I believe it was back in 2006 when they unbanned the rule. So do you want them to ban the rule again where you can actually push your teammates? That's a whole other question. But I don't think it's actually causing any harm to the NFL. I think it should be a reason why teams should learn it and study it and try to perfect it themselves, right? So I think they should keep it. I don't think they should ban it. Obviously, if it leads to a ton of injuries and whatnot in the future, that's a whole other discussion. But as of now, people are staying safe with it, and I think you should keep it going. All right, next I want to talk a little bit about the New York Giants. I think I want to have a segment every episode or every so where we just do some Giants talk. Because I'm such a Giants fan, I follow a lot of Giants news, obviously, and I love them so much. I've been a fan my entire life, and I will continue to be a fan forever and ever. So lots of Giants talk going on this offseason as we don't have a quarterback anymore. We waived Daniel Jones earlier this season. Giants are in a bit of a bad place, but there are a lot of quarterbacks that they are interested in. Whether it be a rookie quarterback like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, or is it a veteran like Matthew Stafford? So there are some talks about Matthew Stafford being traded. Stafford never said he wanted to be traded, and the Rams don't necessarily want to trade him, but they allowed Stafford's team to check out the market, let's say, and see what's going on. This happened after it was reported that the Rams were going to trade Cooper Kupp. We aren't sure where he's going to be going yet, but pretty much Cooper Kupp's time with the Rams is finished. The former Super Bowl MVP will no longer be a Ram next year. So that now has Stafford interested in maybe there's somewhere else he wants to be, right? He played for the Lions for most of his career, and then he joined the Rams just a couple years back and then won the Super Bowl. So now he's interested in maybe seeing what else is out there. There have been a lot of talks about him wanting to join the Giants. Giants are obviously very, very interested in him, and apparently Stafford is interested as well. A lot of reports from an NFL Network, ESPN, have been saying that the Giants and the Raiders are at the top of his list right now, if he is traded. Stafford is a great quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been, honestly, a baller forever. He played with that awful Lions team for so long. He is older now. He's in his late 30s. But I do think he could still win another Super Bowl. Do I want to see him on the Giants? I do. I do want to see him on the Giants. My only issue is that he wants a lot of money, and I don't know if I want the Giants to spend that kind of money. But I think it could be a really great investment in getting him and possibly getting Cooper Kupp. So though it was never made official that they want to have some sort of package deal going on, Kupp and Stafford, I think that could definitely be a part of a trade package. Getting Stafford and Kupp on the same team could really do big, big things for your team. As a Giants fan, obviously, we don't have wide receivers right now other than Malik Neighbors. I would love to see Cooper Kupp on that team with Neighbors. You get a trio like Stafford, Neighbors, and Kupp. That could do damage in the NFL. Another problem, though, about having Stafford play for the Giants is that he's never played for an outdoor team. The Lions, though it's very cold there, have always been an indoor team. They play in the stadium. They play in a dome, right? Then you go to the Rams. It's a beautiful city in LA, but it's always been indoors as well. However, he's never not played well outdoors. He's not that kind of player. He's not like Tua. No offense, Tua, but you can't play in cold weather. Stafford can kind of adjust to anything, but it's never been his home. He's never trained there, so that worries me a little bit that he's never actually trained in the cold. With that being said, I think I still want to see the Giants get him. I still do want to see them draft a quarterback, but maybe not in the first round. Adam Schefter was talking about it, I forgot on what show, something on ESPN, I believe, today, of how the 10th pick in this draft would normally be the 35th pick in other drafts. So pretty much that means that this draft is not very good, according to him, at least as a top NFL insider. With that being said, that scares me in drafting a quarterback with our early round pick, right? Who knows if these guys are going to be able to adjust into the NFL. College football is very different than it was even 5 years ago, right? These guys are rich. These guys are getting paid a lot of money to play college football. Do they have that same drive now going into the NFL? So worries me a little bit. I do think the Giants should take a quarterback in maybe third round or so and take Stafford this offseason if Stafford is willing to come to New York and the Rams are willing to make a trade. I'm also hearing some talks about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Giants. I don't think there's anything official, but I believe it was Pro Football Talk was tweeting about it, that there is some interest mutually. That probably means too that the Steelers aren't interested, because there at one point was some interest, I believe, between the two parties, but now it seems like there's nothing going on. Do I want to see Aaron Rodgers on the Giants if we can't get Stafford? If it's a 1-year cheap deal, of course I want to see it. Why not? But I will not be happy if the Giants spend a lot of money on Rodgers, because he is in the end of his career and I think he should be calling it quits like today. And I don't see him having any more success in the league, long term at least. I would give him one more season, and I'm happy to have him for one season for very little money, but I'm not willing to spend a ton, right? I don't want to do another Daniel Jones situation where it's just dead money. So if Rodgers is interested in coming here and the Giants want him to, why not? Stafford's not coming either. Have Rodgers come, draft a rookie, and build him up. And then that's that. Listen, if Rodgers can win a Super Bowl, that's even better. But I say just do a 1-year contract. And next I want to talk about the Tkachuk brothers. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about them since the four nations facing off, with them scoring a bunch of goals together, fighting together. They've been very exciting to watch. Team Canada, I didn't even talk about that, how happy I was that Team Canada won. Oh my gosh, what a night that was. In overtime, Connor McDavid, beautiful OT winner. But there's been a lot of talk still about the brothers, even though that they lost. Matthew was just on the Jimmy Fallon show, and the brothers were both on the New Heights podcast. And people aren't happy about this. People are calling them out for just being in it for the cameras and for also these shows for promoting them, even though they lost. It's not every day that you see the losers go on talk shows. It's usually the winners, right? I believe Matthew was talking about the Panthers Stanley Cup win from this past spring. So that was one thing while he was on Fallon. But still, he was also talking about the face-off, which he lost. So that was pretty interesting to see. I don't hate that they're doing a bit of a press run. They're trying to make hockey bigger in the States, and I think it's great for the game. Obviously, it'd be nice to see Canadian players too, but the thing with having Canadian players is that it's not necessarily going to bring all these American fans into watching, right? You have these brothers who are at the top of their game right now. Everyone knows who they are. Everyone loves them. Might as well have them on these shows, and I think it's totally fine. It's fine if these guys, if people want to hate on them, right? They are kind of unlikable in the NHL if you're not fans of their teams, right? Yeah, I think it's totally fine that they're doing a bit of a press run. I'm so for it. So in the NFL, there's always rumors going around. When I was writing for an NFL fan page, I always had to make sure that these rumors were true that I was seeing before writing on them. Always got to check the sources and see where it's coming from. Lately, there's been a lot of talks about Gronk wanting to come back to the NFL. However, Jordan Schultz just tweeted out him talking to Gronk, and he has officially said that he is not interested in coming back to the NFL. Gronk was just in Australia enjoying his time, and he's just relaxing and enjoying his retirement, so Gronk has made it official that he will not be coming back to the NFL. Alright, so that's going to do it on today's episode of Keep It Kula podcast. Talked a lot of cool things sports, about new face of the NBA. I want to be Ant-Man, but if it's not, I think that's totally fine. It could be anyone, even if they're not American. I really want Stafford to be on the Giants. However, there's a chance he will be going to the Raiders because Tom Brady is very persuasive. The Tkachuk brothers are doing a great job for hockey, even though I'm not the biggest fans of them, as I'm a Canadian and I'm a Rangers fan too, so I don't really follow their teams either. I think what they're doing is great, and bringing more eyes to hockey is a great thing, and I don't think people should be hating on it really. And lastly, I think the tush push should stay in the league unless it starts causing injuries, but as of now, I think it's totally fine to keep, and I think other teams just have to figure out how to stop it or how to do it as well. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.